G'day guys, Kempy here, CEO of Queensland Solar Lighting, and very excited today to deliver some news to you about EVs, electric vehicles, cars, the whole debate, EVs versus ICE cars, they call it, internal combustion engine, which is a nickname that they've given traditional petrol and diesel engine driven cars. Now, being a solar salesman, we get a lot of people call up saying that they want to future-proof and get a big system because they're getting an EV later, and you can half tell these people are still in the matrix, 7 boosters deep or whatever it's up to now, and whatever, and then you press them more, and they're like, "Oh, save money." Sometimes I press them more. I don't want to press them too much because I want that sale too. I need money, I need to get a bit of money. I don't sell them batteries or anything like that. I wouldn't dare do that to them yet. But a lot of people who are in the matrix are in the market for these EVs, right? And they believe the number one thing is that they're going to save some money. That's the whole reason why they buy. And to tell everyone at the family barbecue that, buying an EV, bought an EV, saving the world, like, look at me. Spent $70,000 on a family car when really you could have gotten away with something half that price that done more of a job. But the world doesn't think too rational at the moment, and that's what we're getting into. So for anyone who wants to rationally look at things and have been hoodwinked, had the wool pulled over our eyes, even myself, to believe that EVs were such a great way to save money in the long term if you drive a whole lot. Peers Sunrise have exposed a guy who'd done his own research and was very transparent with what he's done. He's given all the data over, showing what car he used and the scenario and everything. So you can't say, oh, he did this here and he did this here, not good enough. You can tell he's actually gone out and used a 4-litre car, which is most probably a V8, versus an EV, which is long range. So you can clearly see that he has no biases, or he's not trying to skew the results of the data here. Because you got to think like a scientist here. That's the whole thing. Think like a scientist. Like I said, not many people are doing that. They're getting hoodwinked these days. We've got to wake them up and show them what's going on. So Sunrise has aired this incredibly because they're all part of it, and let's get into it because it is a great watch, guys.
Welcome back. Well, if you're in the market for a new car, you may have asked yourself whether you should go electric or stay with a petrol model. Well, the team at carexpert.com.au have carried out the ultimate road trip experiment between Melbourne and Sydney to see which was cheaper and took less time.
And these are the results. It was about
$14 cheaper, would you believe, to drive the petrol car, a gas guzzling petrol car, than an EV. And then that's not even, let's talk about the time save, because you had to charge the thing, remember? And the thing costs more bang for buck to buy capital outlay in the beginning.
$10 cheaper to fill up with petrol than to charge the electric vehicle. It took just over 2 hours to charge the EV, but only 6 minutes to fill up with petrol. Joining us now for more, Paul Marich, the founder of carexpert.com.au. Paul, morning to you. These results surprising to you or not?
They are.
G'day guys. Look, they are a little bit surprising because electric cars, there are so many on the road at the moment, and they're great for driving in and around the city, but when you do head out on a road trip, we were surprised to see not only the cost, especially compared to a typical petrol vehicle, but also the amount of time you had to spend charging.
Okay, so for anyone who's, I used very efficient, small ICE car, petrol car. I don't know too much about BMWs, but what I owned one once. It was a BMW 320. So see that big number 7? That's the class of BMW, I believe. So they've got BMW 3, 5, 6, and 7, and it goes up in luxury. So a lot of you may have heard of the 318i, 320i. That means it's a 3 and then the last two are the size of the engine. So for example, I had a 320i, which was a 2.0 litre. This is a BMW 7 Series 4.0, which means 4 litre. Traditionally, they have small V8s, which chew a bit of juice, as you know, compared to a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder car. That's more than likely an 8-cylinder, could possibly be a 6-cylinder. No way that's a 4-cylinder car. So he's used a big car there in order to show you that a gas guzzler can even be cheaper than one of these things. Incredible stuff.
The vehicle on a long-distance road trip.
So you were comparing some pretty expensive cars. They were both new BMWs, were they? Would you get similar results with cheaper models?
Yeah, absolutely. The only difference with a cheaper model would be that you'd need to stop for longer. The reason we picked these vehicles was they had...
Okay, she was talking about cheaper model ICE car there, I think, and the answer is even better results. Ha! She mustn't know much about cars. But yeah, he then thought she was talking about the EV, which she may have been, and he actually used the long-range battery. So to even help EV guys say, oh, you know, you could have used there's EVs that'll go further on a tank, but he actually used that as well. So it couldn't be any more geared towards an EV driver's favour to make it look cheaper for the EV. That's the whole thing that's just mind-blowing with this experiment.
Long range, so 550 kilometres of driving range. We wanted to see if you could really do Melbourne to Sydney with just one stop. You can replicate the same results with a cheaper electric vehicle. You would just have to be stopping a little bit extra and charging for a little bit longer as well.
Right, so much better over shorter distances. So last year the top-selling car for private buyers was the Tesla Model Y, I think.
So basically it would be hell on earth if you had to drive this trip, which many people fly, but a lot of people do drive it. And because you'd just be pulling over, stopping and charging, and you'd really have to plan your trip. It just makes me say, just fly. Yeah. And then, yeah, this whole thing, the Tesla Model Y appears to be the #1 selling private car in Australia. Just incredible, because it's $70,000, I believe.
Like the one you're standing next to now, does this signal a shift away from petrol vehicles?
100%.
Look, it does, but it's primarily driven by government incentives. So FBT exemption is available at the moment for people who are buying electric vehicles or plug-in hybrids, and that has really pushed the market on electric vehicles. The real question is, when that disappears and people are having to pay extra for an electric vehicle, that will be the real, I guess, test of whether these are going to work longer term or not.
Yeah, I was talking to a car dealer over the summer and they said those Chinese cherries are going to be about 25 grand. That'll be cheap, won't it? Also, electricity
cheap.
Prices are pretty expensive. Will that have an impact?
Yeah, look, electricity prices are going to be the biggest deterrent for people. Petrol goes up, but petrol goes down as well. With electricity prices, I don't remember a time that electricity has ever come down in price. So if you do have solar at
So, yeah, that's right. It never goes down. Petrol goes down. We've seen it under $1 a litre during the pandemic. In UK, electricity energy prices have gone up well over 100% in some areas in such a short time. In Brisbane, we've seen, 30-40% in a couple of years price rise. So who knows what's going to happen there, but like I said, I knew this was going to happen. I didn't expect that the EV cars would become so much more expensive already. That to me is just roll brain, stop your orders, guys, and get back on the traditional, tried and proven method. That's just not a wank that you need to tell everyone, I've got an EV and EV this and EV that. Mate, the #1 thing about it is it can explode. It's literally driving a bomb, a portable bomb, explosive device. The other day I met up with an old mate I went to school with. I seen him, we're drinking beers, and I said to him, what do you do? And he goes, I'm a fireman. And he said, what do you do? I said, I've sold solar for 15 years. And he's been a fireman for 15 years. And he said, oh, you guys really give up, pain in the backside. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you got house fires, battery fires. I said, yeah. We know about it, man. I know about it. I've never sold a battery for that reason. And he said, yeah, but the EV cars now, we get called out to them and we just sit there and watch them burn and we can't do anything about it. You have to dunk them in water or something to fully extinguish them. How can you do that? And you can't even get too close to watch them burn because the chemicals are off. Insane, incredible chemical. Why would you do that? And then the whole thing is, though, an EV car can and does explode without anyone in it. So it can be parked in your garage overnight, or your neighbour could have one parked, and then just boom, up it goes, causing hazardous chemicals everywhere, all over the neighbourhood, especially acutely in your house, in your neighbour's house. We've known of battery fires that have exploded in houses, and then the whole house has had to be near written off because toxic chemicals everywhere, all in the living space. It's really quite bizarre why people would get one if they're so dangerous, and B, now their whole thing about saving you money appears to be debunked for anyone who does drive it far. The other thing is with solar panels, which it looks like he's about to get into, the solar panels have to work. So if you've got a whole week of rain like you do now and lately, that thing's not going to do a damn thing for you. And then you've got to be able to charge the thing during the day. Does everyone work from home, like on a perfect day? And then the new way that they're billing you now, they're making it electricity very, very cheap during the day and very expensive during peak hours. And these are peak hours which a lot of people are going to be charging their cars. And also, you've also got the cold weather. So during cold weather, and we don't get as cold weather as cold as Europe or USA, but the weather's so cold that these, I believe in Melbourne it does adjust the battery life on them quite a bit too, because it gets cold enough down there. It's just all these things, and they cost nearly twice the price to buy initially. It's just all these things are just crazy, man. My toddler was playing at the park the other day, and I got so scared because a Volvo EV came up and crept up on these kids. But the Volvo wasn't doing anything wrong. It was just so silent that, man, you just, what is going on where so many people are buying these things where there's nothing stacked in favour of the EV buyer. But in fact, the rest of the world's laughing at the guys that are buying these EVs. It's truly a crazy mindset. They've been sold something, and we have no idea what's going on. And yeah, what's the whole attraction to them guys? Plus, you also got EMFs, so you can go and get an EMF reader, and this one will show you how many EMFs you got running. And if you put this on inside a Tesla, the EMFs are in the over 1 million, whatever units they're actually in. I'm not sure. I haven't done any research on EMF sensitivity, as I was EMF sensitive myself a few months ago. But the EMFs that these cars also put on are an unknown possible danger to the humans. And other life forms which they've been proven to with the bees and everything that have been, and all the insect life that has been proven in studies. So why would you? It's just something else that. Why would you expose yourself to such a crazy thing? Just because we don't know about something doesn't mean it's not true. Also, but yeah, it's just. Why are you guys buying EVs? It's just it fries my brain,
Home, it's great news. You can charge your car for free. But if you live in an apartment or you don't have access to charging at home, it is just going to get more and more expensive.
Thank you for your commitment out there in the Melbourne weather. Good on you, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Queensland is in the grips of a youth crime
Yeah, man. Thanks for the report. And what does everyone think of that? Are you getting an EV? Have you got second thoughts about getting an EV? Do you think that this is only temporary? What's going on with the price of energy, and they'll give the EV chargers, make it cheaper for you once again? This is what I think's going on. As you know, the whole world was selling oil and everything. They're the bad guys, oil, and they've made a whole agenda to crush that, and then the other fuel become the ones getting the money, and they're using climate change as the vehicle, as some leverage to do that. And you don't want to be sucked into that, surely, do you guys? Because people who can understand what's going on, it just looks insane. You guys are insane. But yeah, you might have a reason why. You might like the peace and quiet. You might enjoy the long cups of tea breaks that you need to be drinking your cups of tea when you drive on these interstate trips. It's just crazy.